finally, we have the results of the dynamic calculation, whereas previous everything was annual and monthly balances. Here we see the hourly profile of the different district storages, being battery in purple here. So on the y-axis we always have the state of charge from 0 to 100% of this storage. We have the battery, the electric battery, and you can see that for the electric battery, for example, there is not a lot of energy surplus in the winter, that the battery never really exceeds 30–40% state of charge. But here in the spring, the energy demand drops, and that means that more energy can be stored in the battery, for example. The second thing is the state of charge of the electric vehicles in the grid. Here you can see that they are pretty much always loaded. This has to do with the fact that the energy demand in the grid is relatively low. The energy demand for mobility is relatively low right now, and so it's relatively simple and easy to provide all the electricity required to charge the cars. But we can change this if we change here the kilometers to maybe something like more like 5,000, which means a less urban environment, and recalculate this, then we should be able to see a change in the district storages. Apart from the electric car storage, we also have the thermal storages. The first thing is the temperature of domestic hot water tank that can fluctuate between 60 and 70 degrees Celsius here, depending on available renewable energy. And the final important aspect is the building temperature with demand-side management. This is the indoor temperature. Keep in mind that our model now uses a passive house, but it does not use night ventilation, so the temperatures for the spring and autumn typically are way too high, because it is not assumed that the windows will be opened to cool off the excess energy. So you need to disregard or include, you need to disregard times where there is no heating and cooling present in the district, which is typically these times. But you can see here the difference between a building operation with demand-side management in red and blue, and without demand-side management in purple. You can also have a look into the dynamic energy demand of the district by scrolling down a little bit further and looking into the end energy use depending on a certain time. Let's go here into the January, and you can see here how the load curve, the Energiebedarf, the energy demand, is this black curve, showing a clear daily pattern. And in cyan you see how the flexible operation is using the grid as compared to the non-flexible variation, which is the dotted line here. So here you can see that, for example, maybe it's a good example here. On the 11th of January, there was a peak power event where there is too much renewable energy from wind parks in the grid. So the district, compared to the dotted line, is actually increasing its energy demand to preheat the buildings during this time, and it has a much higher energy demand in the black curve than the dotted line. And once this peak power event has ended, here when the cyan area just drops, the energy demand also drops much more compared to the conventional case with district of the district operation using grid electricity. So that means we can reduce the amount of grid electricity in gray and increase the amount of grid electricity in cyan, meaning a higher share of renewables in our district and a lower greenhouse gas emission factor. And you can also see the effects of the photovoltaic here. Now let's go to the summer to see the differences here in the first couple of weeks in July. Yes, so here you can see how the district is utilizing the photovoltaics directly, and but still you have a lot of PV exported to the grid in yellow here. Now this is also, of course, interesting to have a look at different times and also maybe play around with the model assumptions to see the effects of different district configurations on the resulting energy flows.